And we're here again for a new week with some more of exploring the standard format. We had some major tournaments done during the weekend, including also some regional champs qualifier. But again, those are the opposite of what we're going to discuss for today's video. We're going to check again the red-white Pia deck, or the Quintorius Pia deck, which was first hyped up during the Lost Caverns of Ixalan release, but unfortunately it has not yet, I can say, as performed as what the people would expect for this deck to somewhat go for a top tier category. But I'm happy to see this list, which I found from the LG Top 8's recent tournament results, and having this one as one of the probably not a top finisher, but on a good record of performance of the deck in a major tournament. So this deck, we call this one as the version of the Naya Quintorius Midrange by Taco Farmer. So why it's called Naya, despite that the obvious colors is still Boros or red-white, we have this, the only green card in the main deck with Questing Druid. So the Druid is just basically having also an effect similar to that of the Reckless Impulse or Rens Resolve. This is Seek the Beast, which is exiling the top 2 cards of library, and then until the next end step you may play those cards, your next end step to be specific. And then whenever you cast a spell, if it's in play, that's white, blue, black, and red, put a summon counter on Questing Druid. So it gets bigger, it gets to be a good threat, while also gaining you card advantage with all of these exile effects, while also having with Pia in the play would be also get you to good benefit. Now let's check on the lineup. So we have 12 creatures, including also the new card, Geological Appraiser, 10 instants, 25 lands, 4 planeswalkers, of course, with Quintorius Hand, 3 enchantments with Virtue of Loyalty, and the 6 sorceries, which also includes the cards I have mentioned earlier. And of course, a sideboard, which we were going to have in a bit. But first, let's recall what the deck would really go with its main strategy. So it's simply just getting on with a Resolve Pia in play. So once you have to have Pia, basically on turn 2, you have this ability that whenever you play a land from exile or cast a spell from exile, you will create this bonus 1/1 colorless top tier artifact creature tokens with flying. So also those tokens or top pressure control have haste, which we can basically chimp off some damage early on as they resolve from that effect. But how they would get those advantage is you use these cards. So you cast Reckless Impulse, for example, exile the top 2 cards of the library. For example, if one of those cards is a land, you play a land, you generate a top tier. Now if you play also a 1 mana cost or another Reckless Impulse or a Rens Resolve from exile, you get also that top tier token. So more of that kind of setup, which basically gets you generate card advantage and board advantage at the same time, which is really a good version for this deck. Now for Geological Appraiser, which also gets you to cast cards from exile due to its discard effect, which will also get you to generate a top tier token from that of PNLR. Now for Quintorius Khan's ability, in which whenever you cast a spell from exile, you also have this ability that can deal 2 damage to its opponent, and you will gain 2 life. So much more if you have both of Pia and Quintorius on the board, then that's very good advantage to get you to benefit. So aside from its ability, that's a static one, you get also these activated abilities from the loyalty. You +1 the loyalty counter, you will create a 3/2 white spirit creature token, and then you go -3, discover 4, and then you get to -6, exile any number of target cards from your graveyard, and then add red mana for each of those cards exiled this way, and then you may play those cards this turn. So another way to get you to benefit is to have this very useful Quintorius Khan resolve on your board and have its ultimate ability also resolved. So now with how this deck would get also with advantages, aside from PNLR, Questing Druid that is resolved from Seek the Beast, and Geological Appraiser, is the ability also to get you some army in the form of top tier tokens. Now with these top tier tokens, this can then later on you get to be improved with Virtue of Loyalty. So virtuality would create you a 2/2 white creature token with vigilance from the adventure card, and then casting it from adventure would also trigger PNLR again and Quintorius. You get enchantment of this, and then your end step, put up some counter on its creature you control, and then untap those creatures. So that's 3 copies in the deck. Now for other useful spot removals that we can get to benefit from this is of course the reprinted Lightning Helix. So the Helix here would also good to deal of 3 damage to any target, or you can just do it to damage on the dome or your opponent and you will gain 3 life. Then the solid Get Lost ability that can destroy an enchantment, a creature, or a planeswalker, and you get them 2 map tokens. And of course Play with Fire, which will not only pick off early aggro creatures but also get you a bonus of Scry 1 if you get to damage it to a player. Now for the lineup of this cards for the lands is that we can see here that we have a splash of only 1 Carpus and Forest for access for green, and Cavern of Souls with Sammat get you to fix choosing a creature type. So you can see here we have Human Artificer. Questing Druid is a human druid, so basically naming human would also get you to cast Questing Druid from its adventure cost or hard cast it on turn 2. Now for the other fix, we have of course Battlefield Forge. Let's see the other cards. Cavern of Souls, Iganju for the channel lands. Kekapusan, we have Mountains and Plains, and 4 copies of Restless Bivouac, which can also provide another good attacker. And of course, Okensan, the channel land for red, with Sundown Pass as another fix, since we don't have check lands for the fast lands for red-white, so we just go with the slow lands as our good mana fix in the deck for a total of 25 lands overall in the main. Now for the sideboard, let's just go with the specific cards, starting off with Endless Festivities. We know that Boros Aggro is a very good aggressive early beater with lots of 1/1, some X1 creatures. Then added the festivities would be your good answer against them. That's 3 copies, so making sure that you cast the first turn, you get your first drop or play with fire mana, and then if they ever go with a turn 2 barrage of tokens or good barrage of goblins, you can just to cast end of the festivities on your second turn. Now for the next sideboard, we have the Romantic Barrage, which is 3 copies in the deck. It can also goes with dealing off with 5 damage to target white or blue creature. You can notice that Raffin, it will be the best target of this card, as they would also be tough to deal with, and making this spell as can't be countered, meaning that those ward abilities would not really work against this 1 mana cost sorcery. So we make sure that we still have some solid spot removals with only cheap mana costs, while also maintaining a good setup of our card draws and other spells in this deck. Now for a lone copy here of Qatar Commando, we know that opponents would also have wedding announcements, also with Virtue of Loyalty and other virtue in the standard metagame, so we need also a way to destroy them. And of course, meaning that not only enchantments but also artifacts. So Subterranean Sculptor would also be a good target for this card. And of course, if not really that job for the meantime, you still get a 3/1 flash creature that can still have a good aggro effect in this kind of setup. Then additional spot removals, we have of course Death Lost as our 4th copy in the deck. We have licensors for the shenanigans of the lands deck. We know the Sultai lands would still be a metagame defining deck currently in the standard format, so we need to, of course, to deal with their shenanigans of the graveyard. So exiling their lands would really make sure that they won't really have a way to return that many lands, and also you get to crew this one for 2 and having this one as a good threat with the power of toughness each equal to the number of cards exiled with this artifact. Now with this 4 Orbas Forge, I think we go with the procedure of having a constant attacker each turn, which I think would work well against the decks of a blue-white control or maybe even with Esper control. We have this ability of putting a counter on Orbas Forge and then creating an X1 red direction horror creature token with trample and haste, where the number of all counters is defining its power, but it will get to be sacrificed at the next end step. So Orbas Forge here would somewhat shift our set up while maybe removing some unnecessary cards against control like Pale with Fire, and make sure that we still have a good constant attacker during each turns. And also in addition, we have a copy of Quintorius Lore Master. You see here that within your end step, exile the top target non-creature card from your graveyard, and then you'll create, in addition of that, is a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. So also this gets you a good attacker in the tokens generator. Also, it has this ability to pay 3, tap, sacrifice a spirit. You can choose target card, exile with Quintorius, and then cast that card this turn without paying mana cost. Then if that spell would put in the graveyard, it would be placed on the bottom with its owner's library instead. So that way you still get a good advantage in the late game with that kind of recycling of your cards that was placed in your graveyard. And we can check the mana curve. It's bowing with 2.71, but we have 25 lands, but we still need to have a good mana fix. So playing extra lands would not really be that of a problem to us, because we have a lot of card effects, and of course playing those lands from exile will also trigger our PNLR, Console of Revival. For the color distribution, we have an even count of 33 for red, 23 for white. It's mostly red and white for that core colors, and we have only 4, the questing druid in the main deck for green. And for the fix, red is 26, we have 19 for white, and the rest are rats of the other colors because of the Cavern of Souls effect that can basically fix up white mana of any color. And last but not the least, we have 6 tokens generated. We have the Knight token from the Virtue of Loyalty, Map token from the Get Lost. We have also Operation Holler, which generated by the Orobras Forge. We have the Spirit token for the Kensan, the other Spirit token that's a 3/2 instead of the 1/1, which is generated also by Quintorius Kant. And last but not the least is our Topter token, which of course our core card and board advantage generated by PNLR, Console Revival. So that's pretty much it for this deck discussion. I'm happy again that we can see this list being played in a big tournament. I think this is still in the MTGO League, but nevertheless, still I'm hoping that more of this kind of deck builds would still have to be constantly played in local tournaments and even in daily grinds in MTG Online and MTG Arena. So again guys, thank you for watching this one. For your comments and suggestions, you can discuss this on the comment board below, and have a good inputs and insights that we can share to this deck build, and we're happy to discuss it with you guys. Thank you for watching again, and see you on the next video.